Yeah, before the food gets here, we should do another 20 minutes. I'm going to talk about what's probably the cheapest and quickest and easiest way to get a lot more value out of the system, in my opinion. It's something that's relatively new. We just started doing it in the last 2 years, but it's utilizing getting data out of the system in email form. So a few different ways in which this can be accomplished. There's an initial setup that we have to do no matter what to get to do the mapping to your email server. But once that's done, then everything beyond that point is relatively easy. So we started to talk about some of this yesterday. I'll get a little more into it now. The first thing that if you're not already doing this, this is something that I would suggest we start with right away, which is the ability to email out documents and images directly from the system. So let's see, I might pick a container that has some documents in it. I'll add a document here. So everyone knows how you add documents and images into a container, into a product, into an order. You just click on the Documents and Images section, and let me grab something. So let's say I just upload this. So this is, let's pretend that Bill Lady. That I'm uploading and attaching into this container. So anytime after that, I can email out from here. Which would you select? Oh, you're on web service. Okay, I'm going to switch installs. So you can upload and attach documents, as we said, in products, in customers, in vendors, in sales orders, in purchase orders, in containers, in deliveries, and in invoices. And to do that, you go into the Documents and Images grid. As I just did before, you go into the Documents and Images grid and add document, and then you can select from any file, which is either on your computer or anywhere on your network. Doesn't matter what type of document it is, either PDFs, Excel, Word, any of those things. So now you've got this digital library of documentation associated with the container, which is probably the place that most often people do upload documents. So now you have the ability to email out directly from here. So most common example would be if you want to email all your shipping documents to the customs broker, for example. As long as you've uploaded them and attached them here, then you're just selecting the documents that you want to email out. And you click the email selected documents, and then you can choose who you want to email to. So that's sort of the simple and most easy way to be able to email directly out of the system. The next level beyond that is emailing out reports. So we have the ability to schedule reporting to be emailed to specific users, whoever you want. An example would be, and Ben, you do a lot of these, so you can help me out with this, but I was thinking one would be your salespeople. If you want to email a salesperson every morning at 8 a.m. current inventory positions, they can have, that's one of the customer reports that you have in the system right now. You can just pull up current inventory in Excel, have it emailed directly to them, and then it's in their inbox when they show up there in the morning. They don't have to go into the system and run that report. It can also be pre-filtered type reports. So if you wanted to pull up at the end of the day, let's say, at 6 o'clock every night, you wanted to send out an email to management to show total profitability for that day. And it'll run a filter by day and pull up all the invoices and all the costs and give you your total profitability for that day. And can you think of any others, the schedule reports that you do? Oh, Mary's not here. wait, actually, let's talk about that for a minute. So you said you do a scheduled report that gets emailed point data from QuickBooks as well?
Yes.
What type of information?
Usually just open balances, something very simple.
Okay.
The other things that for people that are scheduled reports, there's a 3-month supply report where products get flagged. If they have under a certain quantity in the warehouse, you'll receive an alert saying basically we're under, we don't have enough of this. That being one of them. Another one.
Actually, no, I'll show that one too. I'll show that one too. And one other thing I just thought about too is, so it doesn't just have to be specific users of VISCO that receive these emails. It could be customers as well. So if you wanted to have every night your customers receive, or not every night, that might be a little excessive, but it could be once a week, your customers receive an email showing all their open orders, for example, and the status of all their open orders, pulling data directly from the system, instead of running the reports yourself and slicing and dicing them into a way that you want the customer to see them. Just set up a format that's customer friendly, and it'll pull the information directly from the system. So those are scheduled email reports, and you can set a time frame on them. You can say specifically what users get them and what filters should be applied. And they're typically done in Excel. Do they have to be done in Excel, Ben, or could we just have them?
No, they can go in as HTML or Excel.
Okay.
Whatever they want. So we can populate just say whatever anybody wants to say.
So it could be Excel, or it could just be in the body of the email. Mary, we were just talking about you. Good things, of course. But Aaron was saying you have some scheduled reports that get emailed out to, is it to sales reps or something?
No, to Baker and to the sales manager.
What types of reports? What do they get? Is it sales reports?
That inventory report that shows what's on hand, what's coming in, what's projected.
Okay, yeah.
But Baker's on Mac, and it's just not working for him. That was one of the things I was going to discuss about that Adobe, if it would work.
Could be that, or it could be actually just something else we were talking about. It doesn't necessarily have to be Excel. We could send it as in the body of the email itself, if you wanted to as well, and as HTML. So maybe that would.
Yeah, that may help. Yeah, because that was one of the things I sent out and asked, was there anything you wanted to discuss? And that report, he really, it's his Bible about how to order.
Gotcha. Okay. So those are scheduled reports. Now the other types.
You said before you have to have you set up, and I'm sure it's your exact verbiage, access to our email server.
Yeah.
So is there a certain setup? Because we go to Rackspace, so we have an outside service providing us our email. So is this, do you have to be set up with an internal, server setup for this work?
No, it's totally fine. You get your host, you have your email server, since there's like Rackspace or something, that's totally fine. It'll get your
Any chances it could go to someone else's address, and then you have, that's the problem, losing control.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, just, you set up automatic, I'm just saying, a certain part, they can go to, if we're sitting here, our access at our salespeople, by chance it goes to the email address.
Yeah, I mean, it's as realistic as any kind of typo would be, I'd say. The way it's set up is we have this configuration file that says we need a specific email address to be able to send information, to be able to send these emails from. And for many of those cases, we take VISCO at customername.com, VISCOcustomername.com. We already have a user on their domain, and it works out fine. Just pulling from that in our configuration file. Some people choose to do because they don't want to use their own email account, or they're not comfortable with us having access to their email server. In those instances, they will say customer name at gmail.com or customer name at VISCOsoftware.com, I should say. Right. So there are a couple of cases where we have actually added an email to our account, an email account to our email service, so so that it's customer name and VISCO is who the email's coming from. Now, who it's going to, that's all configured in a database that basically the only validation happening, the only thing that's ensuring is that it is an email address. So in theory, when we're setting this up, if we screwed up, if we were typing it and screwed up who the email was going to, and it wasn't caught when we started sending the email, then yeah, that would happen. Now I will say this, our testing procedures are basically Ben, because he's the one doing the emails. Ben and I both get a copy of every email that's getting sent out. And for the first week, as we're testing this, it's only he and I that are getting that first email. And then we gradually add people until they're comfortable making sure that everyone is getting it. And then after that, we wouldn't change it. There's nothing to manipulate like on a weekly basis on our side. It's configured so that, at first Ben and I get it, then I get taken off the list, and you get it, and then the next week you say, okay, I also want Eric to get it, and okay, now I want to give it to my salespeople as well, and you just make sure that week that it's your salespeople. I mean, we would have to accidentally type in an address that actually makes sense for somebody that shouldn't be getting it, you know what I mean? That's kind of the situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think along the same concerns, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but my concern about sending something automatically is that we've had instances where the report shows the wrong information, maybe other customers' information. And I'd be afraid, not just an email accident, but that some information shows up that they're not supposed to see.
So maybe just maybe just limit it to not showing your customers, just internal only.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, is you send it to yourself, you check it, but at least it's coming automatically as on a schedule.